talk. Because somebody once told me that his mouth looks like a cat's butthole, and I can't unsee it. So that is where we're at. So again, it is my birthday. It's my 40th birthday. We're doing tiny dinies on a float because it's my favorite gift, and then we're gonna be doing a givey. If we hit that 50 tiny dinies, it's gonna be. You guys want to see what it is? It is. No, I restarted it, ghetto. Thank you. It is a sea salt coconut amazing macaron labubu with a matching phone charm, a phone lanyard. But we got to hit that gift goal. And then also remember, you got to give me your name and address so that I can send it to you. Me too, Maddie. Me too. I actually read the transcript for it. I don't like listening to him talk. Literally, someone said that his mouth looks like a cat's butthole, and I can't unsee it. So now every time his weird, the way he talks is so weird. I don't know. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate you. I did post on my Substack some key takeaways from the press conference. We can talk about those. Let's do it. Let's get into it. It's fucking hell. That's all I can say. It's fucking hell. A lot of lies, as per usual. We know that he likes to lie. So the first thing he was talking about is jobs and money claims. When he said that they were moving the Space Command from Colorado to Alabama, he said it would create 30,000 jobs and bring hundreds of billions of dollars in investment to Alabama. Well, his direct quote is, this will result in more than 30,000 Alabama jobs and probably much more than that, and hundreds of billions of dollars of investment. Well, that is not true. The number of jobs that it would bring to Alabama is more close to 1,600. 1,600 jobs, not 30,000. Now, there may be some like additional positions that come from those positions. They call them spin-offs, if that's what you want to say. But not tens of thousands of jobs, and definitely not hundreds of billions in investment. So, right, and that brings us to the next point. He's saying that Colorado that they shouldn't have Space Command there because of their mail-in voting. He specifically said, when a state is for mail-in voting, that means they want dishonest elections because that's what that means. He speaks like a fucking third grader. It's terrible. So he said that that's why they lost Space Command. And truthfully, Colorado has one of the most secure mail-in voting systems in the country. There's nothing to indicate that they don't. Thank you so much, MF. Thank you for the tiny diny, Christofferson. My little favorite tiny diny. I missed one. Hold on. I gotta thank somebody else for a tiny diny. Thank you, My Mental, for the tiny diny. I was reading and I missed it. Sorry. So there's nothing to suggest that Colorado's elections are not actually secure elections. I should put on my birthday crown. This is my crown. You guys like my crown? I'm gonna wear it all day today. Let me see how that shows up on camera. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. That's my Empress of Violence and Chaos crown. I feel like a beauty queen. I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna wear this on stream today. You guys like it? What do you think? So there's nothing to suggest that Colorado's elections are not actually secure. Then Trump also, thank you for the hand hearts, Fence. Appreciate you. Then he also talked about a golden dome. He said, we're going to have a golden dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. Canada called, they want to be a part of it. There's no Pentagon plan for a project called the Golden Dome. This dome it doesn't exist. It's a marketing ploy. Like it's just one of his random shits that he fucking says. that are not true. You wear a Burger King crown on your birthday. I fucking love that. I love that. If I had a Burger King crown, I would wear it. This is actually very heavy. It's made of metal. Like, it's legit. Somebody sent this to me. Somebody sent this to me when I used to do Schmolly Schmans. They said I was their queen. I said thank you. What else? He was talking about... Yeah, Golden Dome is wild. So... we know that Israel has an Iron Dome, and I guess that's what he's going for, but because it's Trump, it's gotta be fucking gold. I agree, Canada cannot stand him. Good morning, Baron. Canada can't stand him. They don't give a shit about anything that he has to say. That's funny, Ghost. Dancing on the Sun said, Amanda, can I be honest with you? You're an ugly person. Yank off that crown. I think you meant to say take off that crown. Hire some bots. There's only 10 people in here. I'm also live on other platforms, Dancing on the Sun. There's 25 people on YouTube, and there's other people elsewhere. I know you're a hater, and that's okay, because I made it to 40, and I'm still hot as fuck. Like, I look good. So, you know, just hating. But that's okay, because haters are watchers too. Anyway, moving on. He's still going on the same thing with crime. He babbled on and on and on. Like, bro just made up numbers. He literally made up numbers. Yes, Dancing on the Sun. I am 40 years old today. Today is my birthday. And you're acting like an absolute piece of shit on my birthday. And that's okay. Because, you know. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm not 25. I'm 40. Turned 40 years old today. Thank you so much. No, I'm not gonna be mad at you. You think that I give a fuck what trolls say? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sky Minverse, I have no idea who that is. I have no idea who that is. But, anyway, so he said Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe city. You can walk right down the middle of the street and you're not going to be bop. That was his direct quote. We have many people who are there in the city protesting at Union Station and have ventured out to other parts of the city. And there are many people who live there. And they're like, yeah, crime in D.C. is not any worse than it is anywhere else. As a matter of fact, it's less than a lot of places, like St. Louis. You know. Today is my birthday. Gnarly. I do know that song. But anyway, truth be told, DC is not crime-free. They have done nothing to deter crime at all. Thank you so much. It's just fucking stupid. Also, he didn't really address the legal challenges that he's having, like he lost about California and the National Guard deployments. Roar! You know, like he just fucking lies. Like the guy just fucking lies. He talked about tariffs. This is another thing that he talked about because, of course, he likes to lie about that shit. Sorry. He said, we've taken in trillions and trillions of dollars. Without tariffs, we could end up being a third world country. The fact that he even said third world country is fucking stupid. But, you know. Anyway, so, Tariffs have generated hundreds of billions, not trillions. While court rulings can influence markets, no serious analyst would say one case caused a single day's movement on its own. He overstated both revenues and the impact. It is not trillions of dollars. That is totally not true. But who did it create that money for? Are the people seeing that money? No. We got cuts to research for childhood cancer and a $200 million ballroom. That is so much fun. We love that. We fucking love that. I am Colombian and Italian. That is what I am. My eye is itchy. One eye gets itchy. The other eye gets itchy. Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate it. It is my birthday. So things that we're doing to celebrate my birthday, we got on the crown. Someone just called me a slur. We're celebrating my birthday by calling me slurs. We love that. We love that so much. You are just so articulate. Look at you. Ooh. I love it when you guys call me slurs. It's my favorite. I love the trolls. I fucking love the trolls. Thank you, Leah. You guys are crazy. So, key takeaways from what happened yesterday. He repeated that he created Space Force and made America #1 in space, when in reality, it was about a headquarters move, not like any new capabilities. Like, we didn't do anything special. Thank you so much, Jess. And the headquarters move was fucking stupid. Like, I don't know why he needed a press conference for that. But I think it's because he wanted to make sure that he drove home that narrative about mail-in voting. So it's just fucking stupid. He also, thank you so much, Jeep. Thank you for the level ship. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, trolls, let the hate flow through you. Let it flow through you. Type those comments. Engage, baby. Engage. I love it when you engage. Do it. All you do is push out my live streams further. I love it. Yes. I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. No one is more critical of myself than myself. So, there's not anything that you could say that's going to hurt my feelings. Appreciate ya. No, Kevin. Now you must sit here and suffer. He dismissed a viral video of a White House window opening by saying the residents' windows are sealed, bulletproof, and therefore the clip was AI fakery. I don't know if you guys saw that video, but somebody was throwing trash out of a White House window. I do not know whether or not the video is authentic. I do not have any reason to believe that it is not. Thank you so much, Hex. I appreciate the super chat. You said, happy birthday, woo! Love the crown too, and plans to celebrate. I'm going to be going on a trip with my friends in a couple of months. We decided to do that to celebrate both myself and my friend's birthday. Appreciate you. So we're not doing anything today, really. My daughter has COVID, unfortunately. So we got Rona in the house. So we're going to be staying home. Rednecks throwing shit out. It's fake. The trash is still in the office. Aaron, I would love to not come back. Thank you so much. Real nice. Love that. He also was shocked to find out the internet thought he was no longer alive. Which, unfortunately for us, you know. Ooh, somebody just called me a bitch. Thank you. On my birthday, too? That is the sweetest thing. Oh, so cute. That is adorable. I love it. I love it. On school unalivings, we're talking about, events, because I got to be careful saying what TikTok allows or doesn't allow. He suggested arming a small group of teachers with military backgrounds rather than placing guard members in schools. Or, fucking gun control. But I digress. Right? He's gotta know people fucking hate him. Like, he's gotta know. There's no way he doesn't know. There's no way he doesn't know. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes, everybody. I appreciate you. Somebody pissed in Jim's cornflakes this morning. Probably himself. Because he's a fucking incel. Today is my birthday, Tiny Turtle. It is. He blamed Fed Chair Jerome Powell for high rates on interest rates on housing, calling him Jerome Too Late Powell and accusing him of being pro-Biden. I mean, that's really it. He rambled on and on and on and on and on for all those things. When he was talking about crime, he was literally pulling numbers out of his fucking asshole. He just lies. He lies. I need to find out exactly how many times he lied in that speech yesterday. I would be really interested to know that, because I know he lied during his first term over 33,000 times. Right. He did. I mean, he has made it pretty clear that he's nonpartisan, and he was doing the right thing, doing his job appropriately. My eyeball itchy. He is the liar in chief. He's a piece of shit. I wonder why people try so hard to get muted. I'm not gonna mute you. I know that's what you want. I love you, man. So we're doing Tiny Dinies for my birthday. Tiny Dinies in a float. That is my favorite gift on TikTok. If we hit that 50, we're doing a givey. We're gonna be giving away a Labubu, a sea salt coconut Labubu with a matching phone lanyard, and I can show it to you guys if you want to. Also, anybody who sends a money gun or higher can ask me anything. If you are in the tubes of the U, if you send a super chat, you can ask me anything. Again, today is my 40th birthday, so we're celebrating together. I appreciate you guys being here. I should wear a crown daily. Oh, my friend Eric just wished me a happy birthday. I don't know if you're in here, Eric, but thank you so much. I'm going to send you a text back. I should have brought my chapstick over here. Thank you so much. Boop, boop. Today's your birthday too? Happy birthday, twin! Birthday twins! Yay! So what else do you guys want to talk about? Thank you so much, Melly. What do you guys want to talk about? Thank you for the Go Populars, Kendrick. Thank you for the heart me's. I appreciate y'all. Muffins with Coca-Cola for breakfast being possessed. We gain no weight. What? Ghost, what are you talking about? Woo, money gun! Thank you so much for the money gun. You can ask me anything. Nothing is off limits. Whatever you want to send, I will answer. I'm keeping an eye out for your question right meow. You don't have to ask a question. You can send a money gun just to send a money gun. What's the Dunkin' order? I always get a medium iced coffee with 2 French vanilla, 1 cream, and 2 liquid sugar. That is my Dunkin' order. I love you. What is my favorite birthday memory? Oh boy. Actually, last year has been my favorite birthday memory in quite some time. Last year, we did a Disney. I met people from here, from TikTok. They came out for my birthday. We went to Disney. We had a fun day at Disney. We did food trucks, and like we had a whole weekend of just. It was so much fun. It was so much fun that I get to meet people from TikTok, and everybody who came out helped me celebrate my birthday. We had amazing fucking food at the food trucks in Haines City. Like, they have every kind of Spanish food that you could ever fucking want, and they're delicious. I take one prescription pill, Erin, and it's vitamin D, because I work at night, so I hardly ever get out to see the sun. So, there you go. Yeah, that's my favorite birthday memory in quite some time. I usually don't celebrate my birthday. Money gun, the Jeep, please feel free to ask me anything. Literally nothing is off topic. So now is like a great time for the trolls who want to harass me to ask me questions. But you gotta send a money gun. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got called a bitch again! Twice on my birthday I got called a bitch. I love it. You guys love me so much. That is so great. Thank you so much, PR Pinup. Thank you, Taco. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Bigly. Bigly. Thank you, Mr. Sunday Show. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, thank you. They are going off in the tube of you of two tubes chat. Like crazy. Thank you so much for the tiny flow. I love when he kicks his little feet. Taco, you the best. Thank you. Thank you. I decided to put on my crown because this morning, the trolls were really going hard, but it's getting old now. Like, somebody keeps saying Quagmire face over and over and over again. Like, bro, come up with something better. Come up with something better. Of all the words in the English language, you couldn't come up with something better than that? You called me a bitch. Like, really, the bitch is you, but I digress. Good morning, Stop. How are you? So far we've talked about the press conference yesterday, which was... Thank you so much for the tiny dinies. Look at his little feet. Oh, his little feet. Look at him. He's so cute. I'm so glad they put that back in the gift gallery. He's adorable. Thank you. Oh, so many tiny dinies. That's a lot of tiny dinies. Thank you so much. No, they're not, Mr. Sunday Show. They're not. It's crazy. But I really love the trolls on YouTube. Like, they think they're hurting my feelings. They're not. I like to see some of the shit they come up with. None of it is really creative, unfortunately. But, you know. It is what it is. When your language skills are severely stunted, that's all I can say. That's all I can say, because if I said anything else, they wouldn't understand it anyway. Thank you so much, Political Mom. Appreciate you. I have heard that they called for him to resign. He's not going to. That I have not a shred of hope that man would resign. I just don't see it happening. Thank you. Thank you, Jay Sizzle. Thank you, Tia. Appreciate you. I know. Aaron, if you think you're going to make me cry, there's absolutely no way. Thank you so much for the heart signal. I appreciate you. Cooper flies home. Look at that. That's so cute. Aw. Thank you. Thank you for the birthday gifts. I appreciate it. I am trying to go out to DC. So right now, I am planning on going to DC, Monday through Thursday of next week. I'm just trying to figure out a place to stay because hotels are a little expensive, and I got the flight covered so far. Oh, the Jeep, got it. Thank you so much for that. You didn't have to do that. Thank you for the tiny daddy. So my skincare routine, I use the Ordinary face wash. I use it's an exosome moisturizer. It's by Bio shit. I'd have to look it up, or I can go grab it. But it's an exosome moisturizer, and then like that's it. That's it. For makeup, I use a tinted mineral sunscreen and some blush and like concealer. That's it. Do I know my moon and rising sign? I don't. I do not. Thank you so much, Spade, for the tiny tiny floats. I love them. That is so far to go every day, though. That is so far to go every day. He'll burn it down before he resigns. I'm thinking that is also true. Jim, it's a little expensive when I have bills to pay and children to take care of. But if you think it's not expensive, you can go ahead and send me the $800. So, I mean, it's not like I'm going for vacation. I'm going for a protest. Yeah. But for 4 days, I can't do that. It's not like I'm going for a day. They are? Where is it streaming? Is it on PBS? I don't know where it's streaming. Ghost, I need to know. Nikki, are you here? Can you tell me where it's streaming from? That's what I'm trying to do, Christofferson. I'm trying to meet up with the other vets that are protesting. Lou, I've been to DC like 15 times in my life. So, Don Lemon is streaming it.
Partisan effort. Let's jump down here. There we go. This is a bipartisan effort. Let's run across here while we have the chance. We're walking across the street.
Can you guys hear it?
And it's right here. There you see some of the people who are out here. So thank you guys for bearing with us. Good morning. How are you guys? Just so you know, we're live.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Hey, Congressman, you ready to talk to us? Okay. We should go over here. How are you? Don Lemon, it's so good to see you. We're live. Yeah, I know. We've met before. I just want to say, so I want to say as a survivor myself of abuse, yes, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
This is a bipartisan effort, and it is important. Talk to us about what you're doing.
It's about standing with survivors. It's about restoring trust in government. 10 of the survivors are going to tell their stories for the first time.
And of course there's an ad.
These Epstein files and accountability for the rich and powerful men who abuse them.
Why is Thomas Massey on board with this?
I was in the Army.
He's a Republican. He's a Republican. He's doing it out of principle.
Thank
By the way,
you.
it's not just him. There are 3 Republican women who have signed the discharge petition. Nancy Mace, I've gone after Nancy Mace on other issues, but she's a survivor herself.
Can we just stop right there? We were right here in front of this building yesterday. Nancy Mace met several of the. I think you met with some of the victims yesterday.
I saw her run out crying.
Yeah, there was a pre-meeting or this for yesterday evening.
Thank you so much for the heart.
Maxwell Frost, who we spoke to yesterday. But I saw Nancy Mace standing outside of this building, and she said, "I'm having a panic attack, Don. Please respect my privacy." So I did not show the video of her. So I talked about it, and I said, as a survivor myself, I understand the trauma that can come from it and the emotion. But she is a Republican, and what do you say about that?
I said she showed courage. And I had arguments and debates, but I respect her for just being human. And she was so moved, she signed her discharge petition. No one talked to her about signing it. She went and she signed it herself. Marjorie Taylor Greene and women have signed it. Not because of politics, not because they want to embarrass President Trump. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This has to do with standing up for survivors. This has to do with justice that has been denied for over a decade.
Yeah.
So you need 3 more. You need 6.
We need 2 more.
You need 2 more.
2 more.
So you only need 5. Is that right?
We've got Nancy.
Oh, that's right. You got Nancy, and then you have 3 women.
Yes.
So, okay, so I get it now. So you need 6. Do you think you got? You think you'll get there?
I'm confident we'll get there. The question is how long it'll take. But, I'm hoping after this press conference it's going to move other Republicans to do it. From a politics perspective, the last thing the Republicans should want is to have one person that needs to sign and this hanging over them, and every Republican being asked, are you going to sign the discharge petition? So if I were them, I would just get this out.
In the discharge position, if you meet the threshold to get a Republican, it will force the release
a vote within 7 days.
And then they'll have to release everything.
Well, then we'd have a vote, and then it...
His stream froze.
So right now, the information that you're getting, you say, is not enough. They're saying that
less than 1%. I mean, the Republicans, the FBI director said 50 gigabytes for the file. They've released 1 gigabyte, so it's less than 1%, and 97% of that was public.
Why do you think they're doing it? Why are they?
Well, they have so much pressure that they're trying to say, okay, we're releasing, but the American people are following this too closely. They know that just having drip-by-drip releases aren't enough. They want the files.
Yeah. This may be a bipartisan thing. One of the only bipartisan things that could happen. It looks like possibly. I mean, if people.
You've been following Donald Trump since he.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, I did. Do you remember any other issue?
No.
Where MAGA supporters have been standing.
All right, we'll come back to Don Lemon. I'll keep an eye on it. To see when the survivors actually speak out. When that happens, we'll stream it. I gotta figure out how I can show the screen. And okay, the sound got better. Okay, I'll make it louder and then put it over by the section of my mic where it picks up the sound the best. But we'll definitely play that. We'll play the press conference. It says Don live on the scene. Epstein survivors speak out. But I don't know if he's actually going to be there when they're speaking. So I'll keep an eye on it. Y'all keep an eye on it. Just let me know, and we'll play it all together. But yeah. So we got 13 out of 50 tiny dinies. Once we hit 50 tiny dinies, I'm giving away a Labubu. We're giving away a Labubu and a matching phone lanyard. But that is once we hit 50 tiny dinies in a float. And also, you gotta give me your address. You gotta give me your address so that I can send it to you. I've done giveaways before, and people were like, I don't want to tell you where I live. Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to give it to you. But that doesn't happen often. Yeah, Don Lemon's still just walking around, so we'll see what happens. Today is a day that we should really just focus on what is going on with the survivors. As somebody who has been a victim of SA myself, it is really, really hard to talk about it at times. It is it takes an amazing amount of courage and resilience, especially in such a public arena, to talk about the abuse that you have suffered. And we have to remember that many of these people, when they went through this, were children. Some of them were young adult children. Most of them were children. And the Republicans like to call them young women or underage women. They were children. Some of them were adults by law, but still very, very young. And they deserve... Thank you so much for the tiny dinies and the heart meat. I appreciate you. Johnny just texted me. Do you guys want to do a battle with Johnny at 1 o'clock? What do you think? Today's my birthday, so I really don't want to spend the entire day online, but... Right, they say young ladies or underage women to try and diminish what happened, but... Hold on, let me text him back. Right, it doesn't matter. They were fucking harmed. Anthony, you know what? That's something that I do talk about. Men are victims of SA, and I think, we've talked about societal stigmas here quite a bit, about men being able to express themselves and have healthy outlets for their feelings. And, men should cry. It is okay for men to cry. And I think because of society and because of how society has stigmatized SA and men talking about their feelings, they don't come forward. They don't share their stories quite as often. And I think that's a really fucking terrible thing. I think that's a really terrible thing. I think that men should be... Thank you so much for the tiny diny and a flip kicking his little feet. Love it. I think men should be able to express themselves, whatever those feelings would be, because it would definitely help men be more healthy in relationships. And I'm not just talking about intimate relationships, romantic relationships. I'm talking about relationships in general, relationships with their children, their friends, their other family members. It's really important. And so I support that. I support men talking about abuse that they have endured. I support men talking about their feelings. I think that men should really be able to heal in a productive way. Cosmo, I've never heard that. I don't know that. I mean, if you have a story where he talked about that, I'd be more than happy to discuss it. But let's not make up things, okay? I agree, Christofferson. Johnny is so sweet. Sorry, I'm replying to him. If you guys don't follow Johnny Palmadessa, make sure that you follow him. Anthony, that's typically because there are places for men to go. There are far and few in between, but that's because women suffer different types of abuse more frequently than men do. SA, domestic violence, blah, 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 blah. I have to be careful what I say. So that's why I'm just saying blah, 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 because TikTok is a pain in the ass. Cosmo, I gotta choose my language carefully. I love Johnny. Johnny and I are friends in real life. You're not just parasocial friends. So I do want to see what the survivors have to say. Again, it's really important that we make sure that we're amplifying their voices today. There is a large crowd that is gathered outside to hear the survivors speak. Let's check in with Dawn. All right, so they're just showing the crowd right now. The press conference hasn't started yet, but Don Lemon is going to be streaming it, so that's what we're watching. And again, that's pretty hilarious, but, you know. You're watching the NBC interview? I'm going to be honest with you guys, as somebody who has been a victim of SA, it's kind of hard for me to watch and hear this stuff. So I'm going to do my best to engage in this conversation, but it is not something that's easy for me. And, you know, the people who are triggered by that, who have gone through that type of abuse or any abuse, if it's difficult for you, like, I totally get it, and I wouldn't blame you if you left. But also, it is really important to amplify these voices today and hear what they have to say. And it looks like they're going to start speaking now. They're coming up to the podium. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna are there. No, Drew, you're not. You're not. Thank you for the tiny tiny. Somebody can mute him. If you're a mod, just mute him. He's an idiot. Thank you so much, Sunflower Garden. What did he say? Thank you for the tiny tiny. Alright, I'm going to play it for y'all. Again, big trigger warning. If SA is something that is a trigger for you, please mute or come back later. We're going to be playing it. Somebody sent me this crown. I got it as a gift.
Pursuit of justice, and I want to thank Sarah Drury on my team for working with them. Above all, I want to thank the survivors who are here today, whose courage and strength have brought us to this moment. I want to thank my co-lead, Congressman Thomas Massey, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene for standing with survivors here today. Today, as you can see, we're united in restoring trust in government. We're here not as partisans, we're here as patriots. We begin the work of bringing this country together, progressives, independents, moderates, and yes, MAGA supporters, to demand truth and justice. A nation that allows rich and powerful men to traffic and abuse young girls without consequence is a nation that has lost its moral and spiritual core. Americans are asking a very simple question. How is it possible that in the richest, most powerful country in the world, there are corrupt special interest forces, both foreign
or domestic, that are preventing the release, that have a stranglehold on our government and are preventing the release of the full Epstein files. There is something that is rotten in Washington. Less than 1% of these files have been released. We are demanding today on the discharge petition that all of the files be released. We know we have 212 Democrats and we have 4 Republicans, courageous Republicans like Thomas Massey, Nancy Mace, who was so emotional yesterday after talking to the survivors, Congresswoman Boebert, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We need just 2 more signatures to force the release. So we gather here on the steps of the Capitol to confront these corrupt forces. Today we stand with survivors. We stand against big money. We stand to protect America's children. That is really what this is about. I now want to bring up my Republican colleague, Thomas Massey. He has shown so much courage, so much leadership. And I saw some people, I say the same thing about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has shown so much courage on this issue. I saw some people when I was coming here calling her names. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop the partisanship on this issue. This is an issue where they both have shown real courage and leadership, and I appreciate them joining us today. Congressman Massey.
I want to thank my colleague Ro Khanna for co-leading this effort to bring transparency and justice for these victims. I hope my colleagues are watching this press conference. I want them to think, what if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? When these survivors speak, the Washington establishment is asking the American public to believe something that is not believable. They're asking you to believe that 2 individuals created hundreds of victims and they acted alone, and that the DOJ has no idea of who else might have been involved, that nobody else did anything that rose to a criminal enterprise. The American people know that's not true. Now, the Speaker of the House just offered a fig leaf to my colleagues. They're going to vote on a non-binding resolution today that does absolutely nothing. I appreciate the efforts of my colleague James Comer, who's leading the Oversight Committee. They may find some information, but they're allowing the DOJ to curate all of the information that the DOJ is giving them. If you've looked at the pages they've released so far, they're heavily redacted. Some pages are entirely redacted. And 97% of this is already in the public domain. So I'm calling on my colleagues. Be one of the next 2 who sponsors this discharge petition. I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax. This is real. There are real survivors. There are real victims to this criminal enterprise. And the perpetrators are being protected because they're rich and powerful and political donors to the establishment here in Washington, D.C. So today we're standing with these survivors. We're giving them a voice. And I want to close by thanking them. They are brave. I hope they encourage other survivors to come forward and to tell their stories, not just of Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, but anywhere in the country. This is a message that we are sending. This is a litmus test. Can we drain the swamp? Are there people who are outside of the reach of the law? I don't think there should be.
I don't think so either.
So hopefully today we'll get 2 more signatures on the discharge petition. That's all we need. And with that, I want to introduce the bravest woman in Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
What?
I find it interesting that the 3 Republican co-sponsors are women. These are women standing up for women. And Marjorie was the first to do it. And I think she deserves all of our gratitude for breaking that barrier and leading the way for the other Republicans.
That's
Hopefully they
wild.
can find their spines as well. And with that, I give you Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Good morning. This is my 5th year in Congress, and this is the largest press conference that I've seen since I've been here. And this is because this is an issue that matters so much to Americans. This is an issue that doesn't have political boundaries. It's an issue that Republicans and Democrats should never fight about. As a matter of fact, it's such an important issue that it should bring us all together. It's grieved me to watch the arguments and debates take place among my colleagues and even the administration. I think this is something that's worth fighting for. You see, the women behind me are going to tell you stories that you've never heard before. These are unimaginable horrors that they've lived with for their entire lives since they were very, very young. But these are also similar stories that many children, teenagers, women, and even men are enduring nightmares right now as we speak. You see, these women have been fighting since the 1990s. I heard one woman tell us yesterday since 1996. And they have carried with them shame. But I want to tell you something. The shame does not fall on these brave, courageous women. The shame falls on every single person that coldly turned a blind eye to their abuse. The shame falls on every single person that enabled it. The shame falls on every single person that took money to continue it. And the shame falls on the people in power over the past several decades that protected the monster, Jeffrey Epstein, and his cabal that continued a nightmare. Those people deserve the shame.
Can
And
somebody
today,
unmute
we are
Drew?
coming forward and we are going to fight like hell for these women, because we have to fight like hell for those that are enduring sexual abuse and are living in a prison of shame. Anyone that is being abused, it is not your fault. You should live with no guilt or fear or shame. All of the fault belongs to the evil people that do these things to the innocent. This is the most important fight we can wage here in Congress, is fighting for innocent people that never receive justice. And the women behind me have never received justice. And do you want to know why? It's because Jeffrey Epstein somehow was able to walk among the most rich, powerful people, not only in America, but foreign countries. Yesterday, I heard countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Israel, and other countries. The truth needs to come out, and the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth we are demanding come out on behalf of these women, but also as a strong message to every innocent child, teenager, woman, and man that is being held captive in abuse. This should never happen in America, and it should never be a political issue that divides us. And I want to thank Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie for doing something brave, crossing political boundaries for a very important fight. And I'm honored to join both of them.
Domino's Best Deal Ever is back. Get your dream pizza for just $9.99.
I hate YouTube ads,
Domino's.
but I also hate Marjorie Taylor Greene's voice, so, you know,
Start accumulating a lot of money.
we had a break from her voice.
To choose every path for justice and accountability and transparency. And with that, I'd like to bring back Congressman Ro Khanna to start this important press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congresswoman Green, for your courage and for being here, and thank you again to Congressman Massey for co-leading it. I now would like to introduce two people who have been fighting this for decades. They haven't had their voice heard. The victims haven't been heard. They haven't just been on this in the last few months. They've been doing this in the wilderness for years, and they are really models of courage. Bradley Edwards and Brittany Henderson, who are the attorneys for the victims. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ro and Thomas Massey. I really appreciate
Sorry, I didn't mean to
putting
send you
forth
an
this
invite.
discharge petition. It's tough to understand that we have to be here because this doesn't seem like a partisan issue. This is an issue. Sex trafficking and sexual abuse transcends politics.
It's killing me with the
We as
TikTok
Americans
guidelines.
expect equal protection under the law, and there can be no doubt that Jeffrey Epstein received far greater protection than any of the victims that he abused for years. In 2008, Courtney Wild walked into my office because she was a part of a federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, where all she wanted was the government to talk to her. Little did she know the government had worked out a secret immunity deal for Jeffrey Epstein, and we had to file Jane Doe's versus United States of America to prove that Jeffrey Epstein worked out an illegal non-prosecution agreement with the government. That was 2008. It took us 10 years battling the government pro bono for the judge to ultimately determine that the victims' rights were violated. The government has mistreated them after Jeffrey Epstein mistreated them. We then filed civil lawsuits against Ghislaine Maxwell, which has resulted in her being in prison. Our civil lawsuits led to her prosecution. We filed lawsuits against Jeffrey Epstein, against his estate, and against two financial institutions, JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank, that proved that they knowingly provided the financial infrastructure for a sex trafficking operation. Unfortunately, all of the documents and evidence that we have worked so hard to gather hide behind protective orders, confidentiality agreements, and bank secrecy laws. That is why this discharge petition is so important. While we have seen the documents, you haven't. And when you see the documents, you're going to be appalled. And the American people deserve to see everything. When you sign this discharge petition, it should mean nothing is off limits. That means the documents in the possession of the CIA should be made available. Those in possession of the FBI going back decades should be made available. The SEC, financial records in the possession of FinCEN should be made available. Everybody knows that evil flourishes in the darkness. Corruption flourishes in secrecy. It is time right now to make a difference for the women that are behind me right now. They have been courageous and fought through this whole thing. Whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, this one is an easy call. You're an American who cares about equal rights and equal protection under the law. If you care about these women, if you care about our country, and you care about this issue, this should pass with flying colors. I really appreciate everybody being here.
Hi, good morning. My name is Brittany Henderson, and I think in addition to thanking the wonderful congressmen and women who are here today, we need to thank the women, and not just the women who are going to speak, but the other women who are standing behind them, along with other lawyers, Sigrid McCauley, and people who have been fighting for a very, very long time for the world to give this kind of attention to an issue that it should have had forever. This administration has the opportunity to do what the past administrations did not do. This administration can either stand with the victims and stand for the victims, or it can continue to hurt the victims like has happened in the past. We aren't here just to ask for transparency, though. We're here, too, to ask for protection. The women here represent hundreds of other women who we have spoken to, many of whom were trafficked from other countries, from Eastern European countries where women don't have the rights that we have here. Women don't have the protections that we have here. And those women are terrified that their names will be released in these files. The government won't know that they're victims to redact and protect them. So we ask that you please, whoever is going to be in charge of redacting these files and in charge of this transparency, do it in a way that protects the women brave enough to be here, but also protects the women who are terrified that every day when they turn the TV on, something bad is going to happen to them in Ukraine, in Russia, in whatever country they live in, because no one is listening to them there. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And please protect these women while we seek transparency.
Good morning. My name is Anushka DeGiorgio, and I stand before you today as a survivor of both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I want to thank Congressman Massey and Khanna for their role in putting together this very, very important bill.
Of course, it pauses right when.
Every day of this journey toward healing has come at a profound cost to my mental health. But I am here.
Trigger warning.
I chose to come because this bill really matters. I speak today not only in service of my own recovery, from trauma inflicted by Maxwell and Epstein, but to honor the lives, the courage, and sacrifices of Virginia Giuffre, Caroline Andriano, and others who could not continue. Their voices mattered. Their stories must not be forgotten. Accountability is what makes a society civilized. Equal opportunity and equal consequence for all. Consequences are not about punishment alone. They exist to deter future harm, to protect vulnerable, and to set a standard of justice. If Ghislaine Maxwell were pardoned, it would undermine all the sacrifices I made to testify and make mockery of mine and all survivors' suffering. That is why the Epstein Files Transparency Act is so essential. It requires the Department of Justice release all the records related to Epstein and Maxwell investigations, flight logs, immunity deals, internal communications, and even the records surrounding Epstein's detention and death. And crucially, it forbids withholding documents simply because of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. This is about ending secrecy wherever abuse of power takes root.
Yep.
But transparency alone is not enough. Survivors need protection, resources, and legal support.
Yep.
If this Congress is serious about justice, then let this moment also affirm your commitment to provide victims with the legal aid they need to confront abusers, to navigate complex systems, and to reclaim their power. Transparency must be matched by support, or else too many victims will remain silent out of fear and lack of access. The statistics demand action. Nearly 1 in 5 women in America will experience rape or attempted rape in her lifetime. Every 74 seconds, someone is sexually assaulted. Every 9 minutes, that person is a child. These are not numbers, they are people. They are your daughters, your sons, your constituents, your friends. Statistically, 1 in 5 of your families will face this nightmare. The days of sweeping this under the rug are over. We, the survivors, say no more. I want to help create a world where survivors of sexual abuse and abuse of power can come forward safely. And I ask Congress to join me in that effort, not only by passing this bill, but by ensuring that those who step forward have legal support to face their abusers and see justice done. When Judge Berman gave Epstein survivors the chance to finally speak, the world listened. After so many years, survivors were heard. That moment was historic. And so is this moment. For me, the turning point was when I had my daughter. And on the day she was born, I knew I had a responsibility to protect her and to protect all children. I have to use my voice, the voice that had been silenced by fear and shame for so many years. Make no mistake, my polished exterior is a shield hiding a wound that still bleeds. But through this wound, I have found purpose. To be part of lasting change in how we confront exploitation and abuse. And to be clear, the only motive for opposing this bill would be to conceal wrongdoing. You have a choice. Stand with the truth, or with the lies that have protected predators for decades. I am no longer weak. I am no longer powerless. And I'm no longer alone. And with your vote, neither will the next generation be. President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us. Because we need it now, and this country needs it now. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Annie Farmer, and I was 16
Just
years
a trigger
old
warning for
when I was
y'all.
flown to New Mexico to spend a weekend with Epstein and Maxwell. That same year, 1996, my sister, Maria Farmer, reported what happened to me there. along with reporting her own assault at their hands and their theft of sensitive photos of herself, of me, and our younger sister that she had taken for her work as a figurative painter. I am now 46 years old. 30 years later, we still do not know why that report wasn't properly investigated, or why Epstein and his associates were allowed to harm hundreds, if not thousands, of other girls and young women. We have never been told whether those images were found when they discovered a large amount of child sexual abuse material on his property. As a psychologist, I understand that when the systems meant to protect us recreate the abuse cycle, the betrayal that occurs can be just as damaging as the original trauma. This happens when survivors of these crimes are not believed, when our well-being is not weighed as heavily as those who have more resources or more privilege, and when perpetrators of these crimes are given a platform rather than the survivors of them. For so many years, it felt like Epstein's criminal behavior was an open secret. Not only did many others participate in the abuse, it is clear that many were aware of his interest in girls and very young women and chose to look the other way because it benefited them to do so. They wanted access to his circle and his money. Their choice to align with his power left those of us who had been harmed by this man and his associates feeling very isolated. I could never have imagined being here today and this chorus of support that we have all received. I have been sent so many notes and messages from people with no direct connection to this case who've expressed their solidarity with us. And I believe that is because, in part, as Anushka explained so well, this is an extremely widespread issue of child sexual abuse, of sexual exploitation, of sexual violence. This affects almost every family in some way. From my conversations with women in these last few days and from all of the support that we've received, it's very clear to me that we are not going away, we are not going to be quiet, and we are not going to give up. And I ask the American public to stand with us and not give up. At a time with record high levels of distrust in our institutions and a perception that there are two Americas, one for those with power and privilege and one for everyone else, passing this Epstein transparency bill is one important step that can be taken to prove to Americans that the government does not side with sexual perpetrators. A thorough public review of this information is an important step in preventing the type of systemic failures that have occurred in this case and harmed all of us. An important step towards healing for those involved. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for being here today on this very powerful and special day for all of us here. My name is Marina Lacerda. I was minor victim 1 in federal indictment of Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2019. I was one of dozens of girls that I personally know who were forced into Jeffrey's mansion on 9 East 71 Street in New York City when we were just kids. Today is the first time that I ever speak publicly about what happened to me. I never thought that I would find myself here. The only reason that I am here is because it feels like the people who matter in this country finally care about what we have to say. As an immigrant from Brazil, I feel empowered knowing that the little girl struggling to get by at 14 and 15 years old finally has a voice. For the first time, I feel like I matter as an American. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom and my sister when a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me that I could make $300 to give an older guy a massage. It went from a dream job to the worst nightmare. Jeffrey assistant Leslie Groff would call me and tell me that I needed to be at the house so often that I ended up dropping out of high school before 9th grade. And I never went back. From 14 to 17 years old, I went and worked for Jeffrey instead of receiving an education. Every day I hoped that he would offer me a real job as one of his assistants or something important. I would finally have made it big, as, like we say, the American dream. That day never came. I had no way out. I was, until he finally told me that I was too old. There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself. But it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part is that the government is still in possession right now of the documents and information about that could help me remember and get over all of this maybe and help me heal. They have documents with my name on them that were confiscated from Jeffrey Epstein's house and could help me put the pieces of my own life back together. But I don't have any of it. And I know the same is true for many of these women. We are here to support this bill today, not only for transparency, but for the American people. But if the government is going to release these documents to the public, describing the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and others, the least that they can do is give me my documents that they have about me. The other survivors deserve the same respect from our government. While identifying information must be redacted to the public, it is equally important to provide the victims themselves with unredacted information. I will never forget when the FBI agent showed up in my door in 2008. Jeffrey Epstein hired a lawyer to represent me, or more like to represent him, I'd like to say. I couldn't ask any questions, and I had no idea what was going on. I was terrified. Until today, I think most of us are still terrified. I thought somebody was going to kill me. I thought something was going to happen to my sister or my mother. It went further out to even maybe thinking something would happen in Brazil with my family. And then one day, the lawyer said that everything was just going to go away. Like nothing happened. I didn't need to testify. When I asked him why, he gave no explanation. That was it. So why? Why was I never called to testify then? We could have saved so many women. We could have saved so many lives from being abused. Why did he get away with it in 2008? Why was he able to go on in the abuse with hundreds of girls after the Florida investigation? Why didn't they let me testify to help stop him? Our government could have saved so many women, but Jeffrey Epstein was too important and those women didn't matter. Why? Well, we matter now. We are here today and we are speaking and we are not going to stop speaking.
I hope
Today, I stand here with the women who have really helped me to find the strength to come out and come forward to share my story for the very first time. Together, we are stronger than ever. While she may not be with us, Virginia Roberts, we will continue to use our voices to strengthen yours always. Thank you.
Oh, that one was hard. Oh, that one was hard. That one was hard.
Hi, my name's Courtney Wild. I just wanted to take a second and just have a moment of silence for all the women survivors that aren't here with us today, that passed away due to anxiety, depression, trying to keep up with this case. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. My name is Courtney Wild. I was only 14 years old when I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by a 13-year-old friend of mine. The details of the abuse that he inflicted on me for years is not important today. In 2028, I was cooperating with the federal government in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein.
They sent me a letter telling me to be patient because this was going to be a lengthy investigation, but at the same time, they refused to talk to me and tell me what was going on. So I hired an attorney, Brad Edwards, because I was hopeful to get some answers. When I walked into his office at 19 years old, Brad sued the government for refusing to tell me what was going on under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The only reason anyone ever found out that the government had already given Jeffrey Epstein immunity through the non-prosecution agreement was because our lawsuit forced the government to tell us. Otherwise, nobody would even know that today. Sometimes it's hard to believe that I had to sue the United States just to learn that my abuser was given immunity. I started as Jane Doe, but I decided I was proud enough to take on our country, and I was on the right side of history. We fought the government for 10 years to prove that the government violated our rights as crime victims and the crime victims' rights in order to protect a pedophile. We had to win the 11th Circuit Court appeals to force the government to turn over thousands of pages of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and the government. Those emails provided the proof that the government worked very hard with Jeffrey Epstein to violate our rights. Why? Why did the government work so hard to protect Jeffrey and not so hard to protect me and my other innocent friends? Why was Jeffrey so important to the government, and why was I so insignificant? Why did nobody but our lawyers care before now? It seems people have only started to care because of Twitter and politics. But I would like to say this has nothing to do with politics. This is not a blue thing or a red thing. This is an everyone thing. We can all agree on this. The injustice that has happened here. Multiple, over and over. Everybody that talks about this just seems to make it worse. We need transparency. It's time for us to see beyond the curtain. Why was Jeffrey Epstein so protected? Who is still being protected? And who protected them all? So the world can understand how Jeffrey was able to abuse so many of us for so long. I was lucky to have Brad Edwards, Brittany Henderson, and Paul Cassell take on my case pro bono and fight fearlessly over 20 years' time. I would like to thank them, and I'd also like to ask the Trump administration to please sign off on the Crime Victims' Rights Reformed Act.
After I had my kids, I hit a wall I never encountered before.
Dad.
I was
to get away with this. Thank you so much.
Good morning. First and foremost, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to Brad and Brittany Edwards, Congressman Massey and Kana, and above all, the brave survivors who have entrusted us with the privilege of speaking today on behalf of Virginia. Robert Giuffre, as her family.
Oh no, if he cries, I'm gonna cry.
We are here today because we support H.Res.581, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, in its entirety. But as much as this bill is about shining a light on truth, it's not just about the bill. This is about justice. This is about survivors. This is about justice against the rich and powerful who have stolen something from these women and many children at the time, their freedom. The freedom to live their life without mental and physical scars that have been inflicted upon them by those who thought they were untouchable. The same freedom that these monsters took from these survivors, they should never be afforded. They should never be allowed to continue their lives with impunity. Let's be clear. This is not a political issue. This is not about left or right. This is about humanity. This is about doing what's right. And this is about ensuring that the future we leave behind isn't one where the powerful can hide behind their wealth, their influence, and their money to evade justice. Our plea to you, whether you're a dad, a mom, a brother, or a sister, look your young ones in the face. Look them in the eye and tell them you didn't stand against the very people who raped, molested, and preyed upon children and young women. Tell them you were willing to negotiate a deal. Money should never be what makes something right or wrong. If you vote no, your stance will be clear. You will be choosing to stand on the side of the rich and powerful, allowing money to buy your way out of the consequence. But here's my one ask. Look these survivors in the eye and tell them why. Then, look the people of the United States in the eye and tell them why. And then, when you're alone, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. Virginia said it best, and I quote, "I have physical and mental scars that will never heal. I have memories that will never go away. They say time can heal, but this won't. Not until the justice system makes an example out of these people with so-called privileges. I just call it money. The only time I can begin to heal is when their freedom is taken from them, just like they did to me and literally thousands of other victims. The survivors of this horrific abuse are watching. The American people are watching. And history is watching. Which side will you be on?" Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jenna Lisa Jones, and I was only 14 years old when my friend brought me over to Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach in 2003. I had a terrible home life, but I was such an innocent kid then. I always did my best in school, and I had such a positive outlook on life. Until that day that I met Jeffrey, I have never been more scared in my life than I was that first time that he hurt me. I remember crying the entire way home, thinking about how I couldn't ever tell anyone about what actually happened in that house. This guy was so rich and had so many pictures with so many famous people, and no one would have ever believed me if I told them. I want to thank Congressman Rowe and Congressman Thomas Massey for having me here today. It was really hard for me to find my voice and to become strong enough to speak about my abuse. I didn't come forward until 2019, and even then it was like I was afraid of a ghost. I know that I was just a little kid, but sometimes I still feel like it is my fault that this happened. Being given the opportunity to speak at the United States Capitol building about something that is so important, not just to me and the women before you, but to the entire country. Together, we can finally make a change. And that is thanks to the people like these two congressmen and their teams who actually care about the victims. If you are a member of Congress and you are listening to all of us speak here today, please really listen to us. Please vote for this bill to be passed. Please recognize how important it is for transparency relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, this does not matter. This
We lost audio. I don't know.
is not about sides. You are an American, and you are a person who has chosen to serve in an elected position to stand up for those you represent who cannot always stand up for themselves. We are those people. We are the Americans that you promised to protect, and we need your help. Please, President Trump, pass this bill and help us. Make us feel like our voices are finally being heard. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Haley Robson. I was a 16-year-old high school student athlete who made good grades and had high aspirations for college when I was recruited and asked by a classmate of mine alongside with a 20-year-old male if I wanted to give an old rich guy a massage. But what high school girl would not want to do that? That day changed my life forever. And when I got into the massage room, Jeffrey Epstein undressed, and asked me to do things to him. My eyes welled up with tears, and I have never been more scared in my life. When it was over, he paid me $200 and requested in exchange that I bring a girl each time to make another $200. I told him I did not want to do that, and then he gave me an ultimatum. Either you come here and massage me when I call you, or you bring me friends of yours to massage, and I will give you $200 per girl for each time she comes. I felt and hoped to never hear from him again, but he called me every day. He was so wealthy and powerful, and he would not let me go. I felt I had no choice. If I disobeyed him, I knew something bad would happen. So knowing I did not want to be sexually abused, I started to bring him other girls from my high school, and he paid me $200 for bringing them. I just hoped each time it would be the last time. One day, the stepmom of one of the girls brought him and called the police on Jeffrey Epstein. The police then called me in for questioning. I had told them the truth despite the fact that I was a teenager and a minor, and I was able to tell the police the names of all the other victims. The police treated me like a criminal. I had, by this time, had turned 18. I had been with Jeffrey since I was 16 and for 2 years. So they had told me So they told me I was going to be arrested. My name was then distributed to the press as a co-conspirator of my abuser, who I detested. My entire world was crashing in around me, and I started being threatened and bullied, till this day still receiving death threats. I was singled out and for many years had to suffer a smear campaign of lies about me because of the way that I was portrayed by the press. The press made me out to be a predator when I was just a 16-year-old little girl who was sexually abused by a powerful man and an evil man. For years, I had no friends. My boyfriend was murdered, and there was nowhere to turn. The government, after investigating more, learned that I was true a victim, but the damage was done and it was too late. There was no way to undo the harm the press had caused me. In 2019, I met Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson. They changed my life, and they believed in me and have helped me to finally heal. Healing is a process, and I may never get there. But the passage of this bill requiring the government to produce all the evidence that it has gathered on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is a huge component of healing for me and for the many other women who have suffered for so long. For many reasons. First, we and the rest of the world need answers. Why was he so protected? And why didn't anyone ever care to stop him? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that if he is spending thousands of dollars a day paying high school girls he abuses and had a lot of access to cash. I learned through my attorneys in the JP Morgan class action case that there were years when his staff withdrew over $1 million in cash a year. Was that not a big enough red flag? There were wire transfers to other victims, and the government did not protect us. The banks did not protect us. So lift the curtain on these files and be transparent. Every single time a new conspiracy gets circulated in the media, whether he is still alive, what powerful person had him murdered, who was on the Epstein client list, and there are names going around on TikTok and Instagram. We, the survivors, are suffering. We take our kids to school and everyone is talking about it. We can't read the news or do anything without hearing crazy stories that are only able to live on because the government continues to hide the evidence and the truth. So people just make up stories. Those stories hurt. They hurt real people who have already been hurt. And we have lost so many Epstein victims to suicide, and maintaining the real truth in secrecy only allows for conspiracy theorists to tell lies that drives up our anxiety and fears and will continue to lead to more pain, more suffering, and honestly, more deaths of innocent victims. It's time you do is right by us. Unseal all the documents. We are requesting transparency, and I am requesting every congressman and woman that goes against this bill be outed. I want to know. Thank you.
Tear into the press.
Hi there, my name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of a award-nominated podcast called From Now On, a platform supporting survivors. I want to thank all of my survivor sisters who came before me today. I'll be very short. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford Modeling Agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Good for them. Good for them. As they should. As they should. As they should.
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and the people who enabled them, and a government that for far too long refused to help. In 2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me?
Good for her.
Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump.
Yes,
it was his biggest brag, actually.
Get him.
And what I endured will haunt me forever.
Drag these men.
I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again.
Yep.
There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault?
Why?
Who are we covering for?
Yep.
Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past. Thank you.
Good for her. Naming names. Good. They deserve that.
Just
their names
give a
fucking
round of
given.
applause for all the courage and strength that the survivors have shown. We now will take a few questions. You can always get Congressman Massey, me, or Congresswoman Green in the hallways and other places. If you have questions for us, that's fine. But I wanted to see first if you have questions for the lawyers and the survivors, and Brad will facilitate.
While he's doing that, I just want to tell you guys, it's okay to scroll and it's okay to cry. I stepped away to let it out a little bit.
This Epstein issue is a hoax, is the words that he used. Can we get your reactions to what you think when you hear him
Question
say
was, Trump said it was a hoax. What are their feelings? What are their reactions to
I'll
it?
answer that. Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
What does it feel like emotionally to hear that?
Devastating.
It's being gutted from the inside out. Not that I would know what that feels like, but I imagine it's the anxiety buildup with the depression and the survival mode, and then your nervous system goes limp and ironically is shot. And it feels like you just want to explode inside because nobody, again, is understanding that this is a real situation. These women are real. We're here in person. To say that it's a hoax is just not. Please humanize us. I would like Donald J. Trump and every person in America and around the world to humanize us, to see us for who we are and to hear us for what we have to say. There is no hoax. The abuse was real. Now, what goes on behind closed doors, I can't speak for that. What happens around the world politically, I cannot speak for that. But I am here with all of these women, including our attorneys, and I would be more than happy to meet with him, and I will meet him halfway.
Mr. Edwards, I wonder if any of the victims could respond to the news from recently about Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a lower security prison in the aftermath of the top line. You want that one?
About her transfer to I'm happy to speak to that. We were horrified to learn that she had been transferred to a prison camp. She is someone who was found guilty by a jury of sex trafficking. She not only, we often hear that she procured women for Jeffrey, which I think is a very sort of polite and minimizing term. She also participated in the abuse. She was a major architect of the scheme. And the fact that she's painted herself as a victim, I think is disgusting. And it was horrifying, I think, to us that we were not told about her prison transfer. We found out about it in the news. Mm-hmm. 1 minute, I think Anushka maybe.
So, Anushka DeGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened. This woman abused children. was abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years. Ghislaine Maxwell was present for some of my abuse at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. She was present, she was complicit, she was enabling, and it is appalling and disgusting. And it's one of my worst nightmares that she not only be transferred, but at the possibility that's very much going around that she might be pardoned. This is not okay, guys. This is not okay.
And I just want to add that I think it sends a very dangerous message to our country, to the young people in our country, that someone that we all know is aware of these crimes could be given a pass.
And just for the last survivor who just voted,
people.
the last survivor who just voted, said that Epstein would brag about her relationship with Donald Trump. Could she please elaborate about that?
Shantae. Get close.
Yeah, I did say that.
All that air traffic is fucking suspicious. All that air traffic is genuinely fucking suspicious. Like,
My first
why are they
trip to
doing
the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Excuse me.
One second.
For this client list that you ladies are putting together, you said it would be confidential, but will the public, could you clarify, will the public get to see that?
At Zaxby's, you can lemon pepper any way you want.
Of course.
Get lemon pepper wings, lemon pepper sandwiches.
Reaching out to survivors that are scared.
So come on.
We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward and that also know who they were trafficked to. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to. The Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right, for folks at home, they might be confused. The survivors know the names. You've seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names? Could you just explain for folks?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so. Look what's happened to so many of the survivors that have revealed names.
Yeah, I find the question about the
I think it's also worth saying that having represented, I think, between our firm and Boyce Schiller, hundreds of victims, and we've talked to them about the various people that they were farmed out to. So we've created somewhat of a list. Most of these individuals, the victims, are very scared to say these names because they could get sued, they're going to get attacked, and nobody protected them the first time. And that was against one person. So is there a list? There is a list, but just to dispel kind of the common theme here, every one of these women was abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and his scheme was to personally abuse women. When they reached a certain age, he did farm a section of them, some of them, out to some of his friends. That doesn't mean all of his friends. With that said, I'm more than happy to assist in helping create the list behind the scenes and see what we do with it. Go ahead.
Hold on. I think if someone's interested in prosecuting, they may have something different to say about sharing a list, but they're not sharing a list for nothing to happen, and that's the experience that they've had for all of these years.
Thank you all. We're waiting to see the fate of this discharge petition right now as we're here. The speaker and others have said that the people he met with yesterday had concerns about your names being released if this bill were passed. And some people I talked to today are not signing the discharge petition because they say you don't want them to. Can you clarify if that is accurate?
Do any of the survivors here not want the bill to pass?
Yeah.
First of all, our legislation, Ro Khanna and I went through this. We talked about this, and we were very careful to make sure that there is an exception so that personally identifiable information, not just their names, but anything they could be identified by, would not be disclosed.
And can you speak to that as survivors yourself?
I think all of them are on the same page. That they want everything released. Yes, they unequivocally redact personally identifying information and release everything else. Okay.
Mr. Edwards, thank you.
Uh-oh. Yeah, sure.
Never before gone public with your story and to share this. Can you help us understand why today, why now, and why here?
Well, it
is not okay for us to be silenced, and it's not okay for Jeffrey Epstein and everybody else to be put on a pedestal. I think everybody needs to hear from us because we know what went on, right? And there is not only me who's been silenced, there are hundreds of women that are silenced. My hope is to stop this abuse for the future, right? For people that are coming up, for women. My daughter, for example, these women have daughters. They most definitely don't want that anymore. And I think mainly this is therapy for all of us too. You know, we want to be heard. Nobody also has never asked me to speak. That's also another thing. So I can say for all of us here, we are here. We want this bill to pass. It is very important. Okay, and we need transparency. We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it. We are done. We're not going to be silenced, and I hope that my voice will bring other survivors and other victims to come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder. And so what is your message? Listen, I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah. Just pass the vote. Listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward wherever we need to be. We will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Sarah. Jordan Conrad's from Gateway Pundit. You know, for years we've learned that there's an Epstein client list or some kind of a list. Now we hear from DOJ that there's no list. But for all victims, what do you guys think? I know you're working on your own list, but do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein had a list?
So there's not a list. Yeah. So here's what it was. Just like you heard everybody today, Jeffrey Epstein created through an organization that of enablers, of people that were on his payroll. It was a complicated scheme where others should still be investigated because they helped to enable him and operate this scheme. Without those people, he could not have done this. But the purpose was for him to personally abuse people. With that being said, certain of his friends, he farmed out certain of the women that he was exploiting too. But that wasn't the primary purpose of that scheme. And I don't think he wrote the names of those people down. There's not a list of, hey, here's all of the people that I sent females to. That's just not how that organization worked. Agreed?
Is there any evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with or tied to the CIA or a foreign intelligence operation?
I think that the safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it's for this with the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look. Go ahead. I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. He didn't treat this as a hoax. So at this point in time, I would hope that he would revert back to what he was saying to get elected, which is, I want transparency. This about face that occurred, none of us understand it. In fact, I don't understand how this is an issue that's even up for debate. How do you not stand behind these women after you've heard their stories and know that hundreds of them were abused, and it was only because files are being kept in secrecy? The world should know who he is, who protected him, and the other people that are out there to be investigated need to be investigated. Good.
Are there any people who are currently serving in government who are named, who you know of, are in these files, who you had relations with, anything of that sort, who Jeffrey had? Relations. Are you willing to say yes or no?
I don't think I can answer that. Sorry.
I think she's referring to myself.
Hi, Anushka DeGiorgio. I have been threatened. I was threatened by phone. My daughter was threatened when I was volunteering to participate in, by means of being a witness in a civil lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre was bringing against Ghislaine Maxwell. I have been followed. I have been stalked. I have been followed not only by journalists, but by people who do not get out of the car and do not try and talk to me and just drive behind me as I drive my daughter to school. So the fear is very real for us. I have also been in multiple situations with both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, where they have been direct and indirect about implying and saying that if I was to talk, if I was to bring any kind of trouble, then there would be severe consequence, including death.
Just to add to that, you know, Maxwell also threatened my sister Maria Farmer. You know, when the FBI did nothing about her initial report, you know, we did. She reported individually at that time, and then in 2002, we spoke to a reporter at Vanity Fair, telling our stories, fearful that perhaps other people were being harmed. You know, we were not. We believed that was going to make a difference. We believed that would be put in print, and that story was crushed. And it was because of their power and the message that we got from that was direct threats from Maxwell to my sister about her well-being and her safety and that of our family. So there have, I think many people have similar stories of threats. That has been a very real part of this case.
Go ahead, over here.
Today's survivors, anybody here ever have any connection or interaction with Epstein's alleged financier, Leslie White?
No.
Nope.
Do you want to address that?
I just want to say one thing that's very clear when people say, you know, please share names. There are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's, you know, financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly, I believe there's more to it.
Yep.
She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
Don't need to.
All right, next question. Next question. Thank you.
Who's next?
Yeah, no, we're not answering your question. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
How did the victims feel about the interview that was given to Ghislaine Maxwell?
There was a woman trying to say something.
That's better. Okay, ma'am, I think that you had a question.
Oh my God.
I don't know that we're able to reveal what we've seen and what we have not seen by way of protective order. But my point being in that circumstance was, if anybody wants answers, there's an easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it. Serve a subpoena on them. They'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it, which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go. Go ahead.
Just say one thing on that. You know, to your question about the allegations, there's a simple answer. Release the files. Let the American public decide. Instead of harassing, I gave you your say. Look.
You're hired by Dershowitz.
But, you know, you've been heard. And even Alan Dershowitz says release the files. Release the files. That is the answer, and that's what we're here for. And that is it.
Sorry. Yeah.
You said that Donald Trump gave you help in 2009. Can you elaborate on your interactions with Donald Trump back in 2009? And for any of the victims, they didn't ever see the president, well then not president yet, but they never ever see Trump with Epstein in any way.
I don't know who's. I don't think that we can answer that question. Did anybody see Trump with Epstein back then? This is really not a political thing. We want the passage of the bill, and this is not to call out President Trump. My point was that he was friendly back then, did not think that it was a hoax, and was trying to help. And now it seems like all of a sudden somebody's in his ear and he's not. So I'm hoping he'll come back to where he was back in 2009, be on the side of the victims, and stand with us. Go ahead. Do you want to answer it? Teresa will step up.
I would, Teresa J. Hone. Happy to speak on that because what I will say is she got this airtime and platform. Her voice was elevated way before our voices were elevated here today. And that same calm, manipulative voice that she had so polite there that day with Todd Blanche was the same polite, coercive, manipulative voice that I heard as she was grooming me to then send me off to the home of Jeffrey Epstein where he would assault me. So that's what she was doing for hours, speaking with me, building relationship with me, building trust with me, allowing me to believe that I was going to get this job, a dream job that I had been recruited from my college, flown across the country from Los Angeles to New York City to interview, so I thought. So her voice that day was the same voice that sent me off to a monster. So nothing can be believed from what she says because she's been charged with perjury. I myself could sit there and listen, and as I did, I sat there and listened to this woman's voice lie. And there was no pushback from Todd Blanche because does he even have the facts to be able to push back on her? We could sit there and push back. Why didn't we get to attend that? Why weren't we there that day? Or why wasn't even one of us consulted prior to that day in that meeting? And why on earth has she been moved from Florida to her? It basically is prison spa. I mean, let's be real. None of us were consulted. I found out just like everyone here found out through the media, through all of you. We found out about Ghislaine's transfer. So I'm very angry to sit there and listen. The feelings that come up listening to this woman's voice is repulsive. Yes, I would say it's triggering. We all work very hard on healing, and it still gets to us after 2 decades. It's a very long answer, but it's repulsive to sit there and listen to her voice in her interview.
Can we take two more questions? One over here.
I think reporting in Vanity Fair directly led to a $100 million payment from JP Morgan to the Virgin Islands. Will you go after the DOJ, the FBI, because they're sitting on evidence? I've held the evidence in my hands. Give us the evidence.
I think that there's nobody that's immune from us going after them if there's a legitimate action to take. So to the extent that evidence exists, then show it to us and we'll help in every way we can. We stand with the victims. Okay. One more. I don't think we can talk about that case. I do think it's worth saying, though, despite the comments that he made, Virginia Roberts Giuffre is an American hero. She is somebody without whom we would not be able to have this voice. She was the one who had courage to name names, speak out against people, and she was standing up against everybody at one time with an enormous amount of pressure.
And most of these women are here because of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. So.
All right, last one.
Clearly not us.
I don't think that anybody knows, but I can tell you that in the oversight committee meeting yesterday, they indicated that they were all for transparency, releasing the files, and asked us to hold them accountable. Is that right? Yes. They said hold them accountable, so we intend to hold them accountable.
It's up to them.
We're going to show them where to go with it, and as long as they're doing their job, they should. I'm going to turn it back over to Ro Khanna. Thank you.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. I think the people back who are testifying here today or speaking out today, they are American heroes. Let's give them another round of applause. And you say, look, Thomas, Marjorie, and I, we're huge
believers in the First Amendment, and we believe in free speech, and we take abuse all the time. But you see, you see why it's so hard to do what they have done, because they come forward and you subject yourself to national scrutiny and national questioning. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart how appreciative I am and how proud I am of what you've done today. You made a big difference. Before I bring on Marjorie and then Thomas will have the last word, I want to summarize three basic things that I heard from the survivors. First, they want to know why our government covered up for someone rich and powerful. Why is it that we have two Americas? People say, why do you need to release the Epstein files if Epstein is dead and Maxwell is in jail? Because we don't know who all was involved in the cover-up. Why are there rich and powerful people who didn't have justice? They want to know that. Second, many said it's important for their own closure. They don't know their own abuse. They want to understand what's in these files for themselves. And third, we heard that there are many others who obviously were involved. And they want to know, and the American people deserve to know what was there in those files. I actually think they're helping us come together as a country. I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before. I've done some with Thomas, but look, this country is divided and exhausted. This is one thing that we can come together on. Yeah. And I was very clear with Thomas. This is not against President Trump. I would like nothing more than a Truth Social post for him after this press conference saying, just release the files. Be with Massey Kana. This is about something much deeper. It is about bringing this country together to stand for America's kids, to restore trust, and to move this country forward. So thank you to the survivors for helping us do that. Now I want to introduce Marjorie Taylor Greene.
For everyone watching at home, I think it's important to put yourself in these women's shoes. As you're questioning, why can't they just name the names? What you don't realize is they just told their stories of being raped and being abused, being victimized, being manipulated, being coerced, and basically held in a prison of captivity of sexual abuse while they were young teenagers and extremely young, vulnerable women. And in Jeffrey Epstein's home and the places they went with him, they saw the most powerful people in the world in his pictures, and they saw him with those people. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor, and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it.
Wow.
Now, another thing, this is not about politics. And this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said, there's become two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster. It shouldn't exist anymore, and people are sick of it. So let's recognize the fact that the administration before and the one before it and the one before it and the one before it and before it never did anything about this. So this isn't one political party or the other. It's a culmination of everyone worked together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal. And this is not just rich, powerful people. Think his drivers, his maids, his chefs, all the people, people that worked in his home, security guards. I heard one story from a young woman that was being raped by Jeffrey Epstein when he was out on work release while he was serving time in prison.
Wow.
And had an ankle monitor on his leg. Guess what? There was a police officer outside that door. So this list of names is quite a list of names, and it doesn't extend just in the rich, powerful circles. It extends down to the very bottom where people were paid. And again, I will say this, there's victims suffering today in similar circumstances, and they're terrified to name the names of the people that are currently abusing them. And so with these brave, courageous women fighting this fight, this is a fight for women and children and any person that is facing sexual abuse and rape and captivity and human trafficking right now.
Through the honors program at SLS Academy, I was able to graduate early and get accepted.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace did vote in favor of discharge. So they did vote to release the information.
In Congress that are crossing our political party lines for doing the right thing and trying to do it together. And thank you, Ro, and thank you, Thomas. And now I recognize Thomas Massey from Kentucky.
Well, there's 3 branches of government, and we're supposed to keep each other accountable. And that's what we're doing here today in the People's House. We're standing in front of the People's House with real people, not a hoax. And they've told their story. We wanted to give them a platform to speak, and they've had it. They stepped up, and they were brave. But I also today hope that they would persuade my colleagues to join this effort. But I found out something today that happened that I wasn't expecting. They persuaded me to fight even harder. I'm not going to give up. And I want to end with this call to action. First, a call to action to my colleagues who, just an hour before this press conference, were prepared. They were given a fig leaf. We'll put a resolution on the floor so that you can say that you voted to protect the survivors. The resolution doesn't really do anything. And that's the oldest trick in the swamp. When you want to kill the momentum, when you want to kill initiative, you introduce a placebo, a different bill that does nothing, and then try to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. That's not going to happen. We demand real accountability. I encourage my colleagues, please. There's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it. And every Democrat will sign it. And that will get us the number we need to force this vote, to pass a law, not a polite request to the DOJ to police themselves. No, we need legally binding legislation to force that to happen. And my main call to action is to the people watching these live feeds that are going through these cameras right now. Congressmen, listen to you. Light up their phones. Burn down the phone lines here in Washington, D.C. Ask them the questions that these survivors wanted you to ask them. Why won't you be for transparency? Don't accept their answer that the bill has a flaw or that the survivors don't want it. We know that's not true. They wouldn't be fighting it so hard in this town if it wasn't the real bill. So with that, please call your congressman. Tell him or her to get on this bill and to stand up for these survivors. Thank you and God bless. That's the end.
Let's see if they come this way. I don't see her. I think she is going to come this way.
He's gonna try and ask her a question.
So you heard from the victims. It was very emotional as a survivor myself. I know of how there can be trauma as a survivor. We're going to try to get in here and get the congressman.
All right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I put the number for Congress in the chat. That's the congressional switchboard. It's 202-224-3121. Thank you so much for the tiny diny. Appreciate you. That's my favorite tiny diny float. Anybody want to talk about it? I'll open the phone line up. I turned it off for the press conference, but we can definitely talk about this. I think. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. I think they're amazing. They're brave. For them to come forward and tell their stories, say that they would be willing to I never thought that I would say that they did say names without saying it. They did. They named names without saying it. And the fact that Nathan is in my chat right now, making a joke about phalluses. Nathan, you're a fucking predator. You're one of those people. You should be ashamed of yourself. You won't be, but you should be. Marjorie Taylor Greene is speaking.
Already this morning that he should have these women in the Oval Office. They deserve to be there.
You spoke to him.
Yes, I did.
She spoke to Trump.
I told him I'd be happy to set that up, arranging with their attorney by sharing his phone number.
What was his reaction though?
I haven't got an answer back on that, but I am continuing to encourage him that these are the people that deserve to be in the Oval Office, not any of Jeffrey Epstein's rich, powerful friends that allowed this to happen to them, or anyone that may have been a part of it. And I think that's important, no matter who the president is, no matter who the speaker is, no matter who's in charge and who's in power, the most important thing I can do as a representative serving in the House of Representatives, I serve the American people, I serve Georgia 14.
This is live.
Is I work for the people. And none of those Jeffrey Epstein's buddies or cabal of people that did these horrible things, these women, none of them are in my district that I know of. So I know the people at home, they want me to fight on this issue, and to them, politics.
You feel very strongly about this political ramifications, though, for your party if your members don't sign on to this bill, if they kill this bill.
Well, what I'm hoping to see, and I talked to the speaker last night about this, is, and he was in our meeting yesterday, and I think a lot of the ladies here, he is very compassionate, and he is completely dedicated to the oversight investigation and going as far as we possibly can. Of course, we're not allowed to arrest anybody. Darn it, I wish I could sometimes, but he's committed to doing that. So my job and my role is I'm just looking forward to working with everybody I possibly can to finally help these women and expose the truth and to break basically this, what I like how Rose said it, this two-tiered system in America where the rich, powerful elite seem to get away with everything and regular Americans always seem to suffer.
Are you reaching out to other Republicans to join in, and if so, how?
Oh, wait. Weren't you harassing my office yesterday?
No, I wasn't. I was there reporting.
No, I have a video of you busting in my office.
I was there reporting. But I would like to say, how are you encouraging?
She just said that to Don Lemon.
Jordan, hi.
You said that you were.
She's not going to answer. I'll ask her again.
I haven't been given the list of names, but I'll be working with the women when they're ready to put that list together. And you heard from the young woman that was talking about that. When they're ready to put that list of names together, if they allow me to do so, I'll be happy to walk right in that Capitol and say it.
It's an important question, and you didn't answer it. Do you mind answering it, please?
Then will it be binding, and will it force the administration to comply?
Yes, so it has to pass the House, and then it has to pass the Senate, and then the president needs to sign it into law. That's how our legislative process works.
Congressman, what?
How are you encouraging other Republicans to
These women,
sign on?
Their stories and giving them a voice versus the dozens of credible accusations that have come forward of sexual abuse victims of Donald Trump. What is the distinction between their situations?
Well, I think what we're seeing here today is these women are standing out here and talking about how they got no justice under the Biden administration. They got no justice under the previous Trump administration. They got no justice under the Obama administration. They got no justice under the Bush administration. They got no justice anywhere. And these women, I haven't heard any of them accuse Donald Trump. But I have.
I was asking though.
I know. I'm not addressing that. I'm answering your question. This is about what they're talking about today. They were abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and they say others. They say there's a smaller group of them that were abused by other men, and they are going to discuss a time and a place if they want to name those names.
Would you name them on the House floor?
Why do you think the White House is telling Republicans that this bill is a hostile act?
We already talked about that one. Yeah, I know. We already covered it.
Thank you so much. I'm a survivor, and I really appreciate everything that you've been doing to support this bill. It's really important. So thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for what you said about the elite and how we really can't let anybody get away with this. This is, it's an act of hostility against all survivors across the country, and it has bigger impacts than just victims for Epstein. It has, impacts for all victims. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, she did.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you do this every day. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
Congresswoman, the last question you answered from that young lady, I was with them yesterday at your office. So what are you doing to encourage other Republicans to join in? Can you answer my questions? I am also a survivor. I want to...
You've been fired for being a misogynist.
No, I'm not. We can talk about things that are not true, but I would love to stick to the point and ask you.
You can follow the protocols and talk to my staff.
I'm following the protocols. I'm talking to these folks right now. Answer my question now.
You disrespected my office.
I did not.
Disrespected
I did not.
me.
I came in with a group of people.
Rushed in my
I
office
did not.
yesterday with your people that were Tesla takedown that attacked Tesla dealerships.
Who I followed. So can you please answer my question, Congresswoman? Why won't you answer the question?
No, because you're disgusting.
Okay, and why do you say that? Why the personal attacks? Why the personal attacks, Congresswoman, instead of answering the question? Especially as a survivor of sexual abuse, I would like to get a question from you. How are you encouraging other Republicans?
Excuse me. Excuse me. You need to give me space to walk, please. I can't hear everybody.
When the MAGA base.
Can somebody move him out of the way? Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Look, it takes a woman. How about that?
Congresswoman, don't push me. Don't step on me. Yeah.
It's getting a little wild.
I'm trying to go back to Reagan.
Make a path fire. Republicans on board. Hey guys, make a path.
I'm gonna let you get in front of me.
So, Congresswoman, will you please just answer my question?
Stop touching.
Can you answer my question?
All right, she's not answering any more questions.
Push me, sir, please.
They're pushing Don Lemon
Just
now.
ask you a question. I'm not breaking the line. You're pushing me. That's assault. So, Congresswoman, can you answer my question, please?
No, I didn't get your email, Rick.
Are you reaching out to other Republicans, and who? How are you doing it? Let me ask you. I saw Nancy Mace having a panic attack yesterday. She asked me to not show the video because she wanted me to respect her privacy, and I didn't. What do you think about this? This is traumatic for a lot of women and survivors.
Oh, thank you.
Don Lemon is he's still trying to go at it. Oh, they lost connection. They lost connection, but she's refusing to answer his questions in regards to what she is doing to encourage other Republicans to vote on behalf of this, the Jeffrey Epstein Survivors Act, or Transparency Act. So she won't answer his questions. She said he was harassing her office yesterday. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. I wasn't watching Don Lemon yesterday. If you guys want to call in or you want to join as a guest on TikTok and have a discussion about what we watched in regards to the survivors, I'd be happy to allow you up and to give you a voice. But also, just to remind you, this is a very sensitive topic for many people, and I ask that you please use discretion when you decide to call in or come up and not be an absolute piece of shit. Thank you. Oh shit, I missed my meeting. Fuck. Hold on. All right, guys, I gotta go. I have a meeting. Shit, I forgot. I'll be back.